Hello students, welcome to another video tutorial from my channel, and in this particular video I will be discussing about multiple gene and pleiotropism. That is the most and complicated topic that students have ever found. So first of all I will discuss about pleiotropism, then I will discuss about multiple gene. Now as you all know that for each and every character there is a specific gene which controls that particular character, and each and every gene has two copies, and those two copies are known as the allele. It is the most basic fundamental idea about the genetics. Now there are some basic genes, there are some other genes which can control more than a single character. Remember it student, I am telling you that a single gene is controlling more than one character. That means if there is any mutation of that particular gene, it will affect not only a single character but also it will affect a number of phenotypes, or it will affect a number of diseases. So this typical phenomenon by a single gene which mainly control more than one character is known as the pleiotropism, and that particular gene is known as the pleiotropic gene, and the effect that the pleiotropic gene exhibited is known as the pleiotropic effect. So what is pleiotropism or what is pleiotropic effect? Pleiotropism means when a single gene is controlling more than one character. A single gene is controlling more than one character. This particular phenomenon, this typical and particular unique phenomenon is known as the pleiotropism, and that particular gene which is controlling the different traits, which is controlling the different expressions is known as the pleiotropic gene, and the effect and the expression is known as the pleiotropic effect. Now according to the different scientists, the pleiotropic effect can be classified into two different types. One is the major effect and the second one is the minor effect. That means the pleiotropic gene controls mainly a single character, but it also controls the characters or the expression of the other different phenotypes. That means it will promote or it will control a character major, and it will have a secondary effect to different other characters. So pleiotropic expressions can have two type of phenotype. One is the major effect, and second one is the minor effect. The gene which is showing pleiotropism is known as the pleiotropic gene. The gene which is showing this typical phenomenon is known as the pleiotropic gene, and the effect or the expression of that particular gene is known as the pleiotropic effect, which can be classified into major and minor. Major means when the expression is mainly controlled by that particular gene, and minor means secondary, the secondary expression, secondary function of that particular gene. So let us take an example of that particular unique process that is known as the pleiotropism. The first and the foremost important example that you will be getting questions and as well as in your board exam as well as in your NEET exam, that is the phenylketonuria. Phenylketonuria is basically a typical example of pleiotropism. Now, how phenylketonuria comes under the subheading of pleiotropism, we will see it. Now, phenylketonuria is basically autosomal disease. It is very much rare, and it involves in the what can I say? It involves in the most abnormality in the metabolism of a single amino acid, that is the phenylalanine. There is a deficiency of a particular enzyme that is known as the phenylalanine hydroxylase. Now, this phenylalanine hydroxylase is involved in the conversion of a amino acid, that is the phenylalanine, into another amino acid, that is tyrosine. Now, if there is any change or if there is any mutation of the genes which control the expression or which control the transcription of the mRNA which actually code for the phenylalanine hydroxylase, then what will happen? Then phenylalanine will not be converted into tyrosine. As a result, phenylalanine will be accumulated in the tissue, and there will be deficiency of the tyrosines can be observed in the particular tissue. Now, as there is deficiency in the particular tissue of tyrosine, tyrosine is basically involved in the synthesis of number of hormones, number of enzymes, number of different secondary metabolites. Those secondary metabolites, those hormones, especially tyrosine is basically involved in the synthesis of thyroid hormones. Those basically enzymes and hormones will not be produced. As a result, there will be a secondary effect for not biosynthesis of tyrosine. Now, what is the primary and the major effect of phenylketonuria? That is, the accumulation of phenylalanine causes an abnormality or causes a deformation in the nucleotide biosynthesis. As you all know that nucleotides are the building block of DNA, and as a result the phenylalanine is being accumulated. It will cause a degradation, or it will cause an down regulation of the nucleotide biosynthesis. As a result, what will happen? As a result, the child, or as a result the person who is suffering from phenylketonuria will be having low in intelligence, will be having a fade in the skin color, a low pigmentation in the hairs, and these are the all typical symptoms that we can see in case of phenylketonuria patient. So, what is happening in case of phenylketonuria? I am writing it down in the board so that you can easily understand it. First of all, you have to remember it, the amino acid, the two amino acids is involved in this particular disease, phenylketonuria. First one is the phenylalanine, and the second amino acid that is involved in the phenylketonuria is tyrosine. Now, normally what happens, that I have told you, phenylalanine is converted or is metabolized into tyrosine by a particular enzyme that is known as the phenylalanine hydroxylase, and there is a deficiency or there is a mutation in the gene which controls the expression of the mRNAs which code for that particular enzyme. So, phenylalanine, one of the major example that I have told you, I am writing the example, phenylketonuria. Phenylketonuria. The short form of the phenylketonuria is the PKU. Now, normally there is an amino acid, phenylalanine. Phenylalanine normally converted to tyrosine. Now, the enzyme which involved in this conversion is phenylalanine hydroxylase. Phenylalanine hydroxylase. Now, where does this mutation is being occurring? The mutation, the DNA now transcribed into mRNA, and the mRNA is being transcribed to a particular enzyme. Now, the mutation is being occurring here. So, from the DNA, mRNA is not being produced, As a result, the mRNA is not being produced for the phenylalanine hydroxylase. It will not be converted into this amino acid. So there will be accumulation. Phenylalanine will be accumulated or increasing in the blood, and tyrosine will be decreasing in the blood. Now, what are the symptoms of phenylketonuria? First symptoms, low intelligence. Second symptoms, low pigmentation. And skin rashes and low thyroid levels. So it is one of the most major example of phenylketonuria. That is the most common example of pleiotropism. The second most important example of pleiotropism is the sickle cell anemia. All of you have heard that particular name. In case of sickle cell anemia, the hemoglobin is transformed into sickle cell. As we all know that the specific structure of the RBCs are biconcave in nature. Now, in case of sickle cell anemia, due to the abnormality of that particular hemoglobin, the RBC has transformed into sickle cell. As a result, the sickle shaped RBCs stick to each other, and the RBCs do not show any tendency to move through narrow blood vessels, and as a result the oxygen carrying capacity is very becomes low. So the person suffers from hypoxia. So what are the basic genetic abnormality behind this sickle cell anemia? We will see now. Now, in case of normal hemoglobin, human normal hemoglobin is termed as hemoglobin A. Now, hemoglobin has two portions. One is the heme containing heme, and the second one is the globin. Heme is the iron containing part, and globin is the protein containing part. Now, out of this globin portion, there are basically 4 chains. In case of adult hemoglobin, 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. Now, in these beta chains, alpha chains are mainly made up of 141 amino acids, and beta chains are normally made up of 146 amino acids. Now, what happens in case of sickle cell hemoglobin? In sickle cell hemoglobin, the beta chain of which is made up of basically 146 amino acids, 6th position of the beta chain of the hemoglobin from the amino terminus. The amino acid in case of normal hemoglobin is glutamic acid. Now, in sickle cell hemoglobin, this glutamic acid which resides at the 6th position of beta chain from the amino terminal is replaced by a totally different amino acid, that is valine. As you all know that glutamic acid contains a negative charge in solution, and valine is basically carries no charge in the solution. So what I am telling you that, write it down students, it will be very important for your examination, and it will definitely come at your NEET examination. So I am telling you that the beta chain of hemoglobin which contains glutamic acid normally at the 6th position from the amino terminal is being replaced by a totally different amino acids, that is valine. Now, a single change in the amino acid at the amino terminal causes this change of the shape from the biconcave into the sickle shape, and this particular change, that is sickle, that is the change of the amino acid from glutamic acid to valine, will make the RBC very much fragile. It will reduce its oxygen carrying capacity, it will make it sticky in nature, the oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange capacity will be reduced, it will be stagnant, it will not pass through any narrow blood vessels. So that you can see, if there is a single mutation, it is doing different disease, or it is doing different symptoms, it is doing different abnormality of that particular person. A single mutation is performing different difficulties in a single person. So it is also an example of pleiotropism. The second one I am telling you that the second example of pleiotropism is sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia. Now, in case of sickle cell anemia, what I have told you, in case of sickle cell anemia, normal hemoglobin HbA is the normal adult hemoglobin. Normal adult hemoglobin, 2 alpha chains, it contains 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. Now, out of these beta chain, alpha chains are mainly made up of 141 amino acids, and beta chains are mainly made up of 146 amino acids. Now, out of 146 amino acids, 6 amino acid from the amino terminal is glutamic acid. Now this glutamic acid is being changing into valine. A single mutation results in the expression of multiple symptoms. First one, stickiness of the RBC. Second one, a decrease in the gaseous exchange capacity. Third one, it cannot pass through the narrow blood vessels. And fourth one, it increases the blood viscosity. So these are the 4 basic symptoms that we can get in case of sickle cell anemic patient. So a single mutation resulting 4 or 5 different symptoms. So it is also an example of pleiotropism. Third and the foremost important example of pleiotropism is the cystic fibrosis. Third and the foremost. It is also another important examples of pleiotropism, that is the cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis basically involves a single chloride channel, and this particular chloride channel helps in the thinning of the mucus which is present in our bronchi, in our liver and in our pancreas. Basically, in case of cystic fibrosis, the mucus become very thick. As a result, it entraps the different dust particles in our bronchi, and the bronchi collapses and the gaseous exchange cannot happen. As a result, the person will suffer in asthma, or the person will suffer any kind of breathing problems. It also involves in the digestive problems, because if the mucus is deposited in the liver and the pancreas, the pancreatic juice and the bile will not come out from these digestive glands. As a result, the food that we are consuming will not be digested properly and will not be getting nutrients from that particular food. So cystic fibrosis is the third example of pleiotropism. Third example is the cystic fibrosis, and it involves a deformation or abnormality in chloride channel, and results in the thickening of mucus. Basically, it attacks bronchi, liver and the pancreas. So these are the 3 organs that basically involved, or that basically affected in case of cystic fibrosis. Bronchi gets constricted. As a result, the bronchi is constricted due to the deposition of the mucus and it will cause breathing difficulties. Liver and pancreas will not be releasing different enzymes because there is accumulation of mucus around all the digestive glands, and it will also be causing difficulty in absorption of the food as well as digestion of the food. So these are all the examples, three basic most importance of pleiotropism. First one is the sickle cell anemia, second one is the phenylketonuria, and the third one is the cystic fibrosis. So now we will discuss about multiple gene. Multiple gene is just opposite of the pleiotropism. Now what is then multiple gene? Multiple gene is when a single character is being controlled by more than different gene, more than one gene. In case of pleiotropism, what we are seeing? In case of pleiotropism, we are seeing that a particular gene is controlling more than one characters. Now in case of multiple gene, we will be seeing that a single character is being controlled by more than one gene. So what is multiple gene? Or the multiple gene is also known as polygenic inheritance. Polygenic inheritance means when the inheritance or when the character is being controlled by more than one gene. So multiple gene when one single character is controlled by more than one gene. It is exactly opposite to the pleiotropism, and the most common example of multiple gene is the skin color. The skin color, that is the melanin pigmentation of our skin, is not only controlled by a single gene but also it controlled by more than one gene, as well as apart from the skin color, the structure of the hair and the structure of the hair, color of the hair, and the color of our eye is also controlled by more than a single gene. So these are the examples of multiple gene. And what is multiple gene? That I have already told you. It is exactly opposite to the pleiotropism, when a single character is being controlled by more than one gene. Skin colors, eye color, hair structure, color of the hair, these are all the examples of multiple gene. So that's all about pleiotropism and multiple gene. Hope all of you have understood a complete brief idea about the pleiotropism and the multiple gene. If you like these videos, do share with your friends and subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon.